Hi, fans of high quality entertainment, and happy 250th for all of my American viewers. I hope you have a great 4th of July. And this video, I would like to thank Americana Sam, also known as Sam St. John. He messaged me with this website that shows 250 albums that define America's musical journey. And I've only seen the first little bit of it. I'm going to go through all of the list, and it's just going to be interesting to see how many of these albums I've heard. And let me know what you think about this list in total. So supposedly this defines America's musical journey. All right, Styx, Paradise Theater, never bought it. I did buy Styx albums at one point. I did like them in the 70s, but I did hear one of their more recent albums, and it was good. So nothing, nothing wrong with Styx. I never got into the band live. Growing Copper, might have heard a song or two. I was never a fan of Journey. Lynyrd Skynyrd, I've never owned any Lynyrd Skynyrd albums, but I do respect them and thought they were a good band. I've bought some Bruce Springsteen, but The Ghost of Tom Joad, never heard. Grateful Dead, how am I going to pronounce that? OXIO, something like that. Never heard it. I did hear, I think it was their second album, Anthem of the Sun, which I did like. I've heard that this album, The Black Keys, it's good. The Allman Brothers, never heard their debut album. I did have some Bob Seger back in the day, but not Against the Wind. So far, not too many albums. Well, speak of the devil. Look at this. I've got a Steely Dan album. I've actually got 3 of them, and very good album. I was a Billy Joel fan back in the 70s, but I never had that live album. But I've heard it's good. Alice Cooper, I love I like the Alice Cooper band more than his solo career. So I've never heard The Last Temptation. Bob Dylan, I've heard John Wesley Harding. I don't own it though. Actually, I do. Yeah, it's part of my Bob Dylan mono box set. I think it's the final album in the box set, but I haven't got into it yet. But I had heard it in the past. Never heard this album by the Byrds, the Notorious Byrd Brothers. I did have that album by John Mellencamp. That's when I kind of started losing interest in him, though. I thought it was just a mediocre album. Tom Waits, Mule Variations. I've heard some Tom Waits albums, but not that one. I own The Mothers of Invention. We're Only in It for the Money. Love it. One of the great 60s albums. I've never heard that album. It'd be kind of sad because I think it was his second last album, and I think he knew he didn't have much time left even then. But I did have Excitable Boy back in the day, which was a great album. Never owned any Lenny Kravitz. The Byrds, I've heard that album, but not for a long time. Fifth Dimension. Bob Dylan, I've heard Modern Times. That was good. I actually bought that back in 1980. But wasn't really a big fan of REO Speedwagon. I would actually like to hear that. The Butterfield Blues Band, East West. I've never heard that. Never heard Richard Hell and the Voidoids. Another Grateful Dead. Europe 72. I heard this album and I don't know. I just Did not like Blue Cheer. And I love heavy rock, Cream and Grand Funk and all that, but I just didn't care for Blue Cheer. Bruce Springsteen, I had that album when it came out. 5 vinyl records. Yeah. Was it five or three albums? Maybe it's three albums. I forget. It was so long ago. But it was good. Queensryche, I've never gotten into. I know a couple of their songs, though, which were good. The Allman Brothers again, Seven Turns. REM Monster. Yeah, I bought some REM back in the day. I didn't mind that. I think it's a little underrated, in fact. It was good. Never bought any Dio. The Last in Line, Bon Jovi. Let's skip over Bon Jovi quickly. Cheap Trick. Love the song Dream Police, but I never bought the album. And my favorite of theirs are their first two, the self-titled and In Color. Boom, Dylan again. I see what they're I thought it was maybe the artist, but it's more the albums. So Love and Theft. I don't think I've ever heard that album. Yes, that's a great album by Pearl Jam. I need to get it on CD. Really good. I never bought Live Bullet. Chicago 5, never bought. I had Cat Scratch Fever. That's funny to say. I had Cat Scratch Fever. Luckily, it went away. No, but I was a Ted Nugent fan back in the 70s, and I liked that. And the album before that, I forget the name of it at the moment. And I was buying albums after Cat Scratch Fever, but it just got less and less interesting. Free for All, that's the album. Little Feat, never really got into Little Feat. Feats Don't Fail Me Now. Motley Crue, another Tom Waits. This is going to be a long video, so I'm going to go a little quicker here. Rat, nope. Kiss, early Kiss I loved. I love Tunnel of Love. I have that on CD. Possibly my favorite Bruce Springsteen album. REM Document. Good album. I liked it. Never got into Daryl Hall and John Oates. Forget Don Henley, because he might sue me. Love the Velvet Underground. I've got all of their albums. That's probably my favorite. Drive-By Truckers, nope. Nine Inch Nails, nope. Nope. Never Heard The Rising by Bruce Springsteen, nope. No. Yes, I got Asia by Steely Dan, excellent album. Yeah, I liked whole Live Through This, my favorite album of theirs. It was heavy. I liked it. I have Volunteers by Jefferson Airplane, one of my favorite 60s albums. Heaven Tonight. I did buy that back in the day, and it was good. Yep. Never got into Tom Petty's albums, but I totally respect him, and I love all of his singles. I have Alice Cooper's Killer, excellent. Never got into the 13th Floor Elevators. Love Blue Oyster Cult, have all of their albums. Boom, Dylan again. Oh Mercy, great album. The Stooges, I had the Stooges, that was good. Love Simon and Garfunkel. I need to get them on CD again. Not my favorite Pearl Jam album. It was good, though. Another Grateful Dead. Blondie, I bought that back in the 70s. Loved it. Another Allman Brothers band. Haven't heard. Another excellent Velvet Underground album. Boom, Dylan, Time Out of Mind. I've heard that. It was very good. Trey Hombres. Good album. Metallica, the Black Album. It's good. Love Talking Heads. I have that on CD. Don Henley. Go away. Nirvana, that was a great album. I enjoyed that. Love Lou Reed. I have all of his albums. New York. Never listened to Black Flag. I like the White Stripes, but never bought their albums. Joe's Saturani. How do you pronounce it? I have heard that album. It was good. I heard it on Patreon. Santana, very good album. Journey, nope. Husker Du, nope. I've heard some Husker Du though, but I've never heard the full album. New Day Rising. Big fan of Captain Beefheart. Have that. Bonnie Raitt, respect her, but just not my kind of music. Black Crowes, never got into the Black Crowes. Sleater Kinney, Dig Me Out, nope. Pantera, Vulgar Display of Power, nope. Joe Cocker, I'd like to get that. I have his first two albums. Mad Dogs and Englishmen. Love CCR, have all of their albums. Simon and Garfunkel, I've heard that. It's really good. I did have that back in the day. It was good. Faith No More, The Real Thing. Little Feat, nope. I had Night Moves on vinyl. Yep. Bob Seger. There's the album I had by Warren Zevon, Excitable Boy. I had Living Color Vivid. That was very good. I just never, I had some of these on vinyl and I just never replaced them when I went over to CDs. I had that on vinyl. Stevie Nicks, good album. Belladonna. Funhouse, I like that album. The Cars, Heartbeat City, I had that. That was good. Siamese Dream, that's a good album. I like that. Smashing Pumpkins. I had that on vinyl, unfortunately. I think I bought that on vinyl too, but this didn't interest me very much. Yes, I even bought Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. I was a fan for a week or two. Never bought that. Another Husker Du. I think I did hear one of their albums on Patreon. There's the other Guns N' Roses. Never got into Stone Temple Pilots. Another classic by Simon and Garfunkel. I did buy the first Foo Fighters album, but that was it. I have Freak Out on CD. Never got into the Cult, but I do like a couple of their hit singles. Never heard Mr. Tambourine Man, Slayer, the Isley Brothers, Toto. I did buy that. It was okay. Nope. Nope. Yes, I did have that on vinyl. Double album. Ted Nugent, Gonzo. Never bought Foreigner 4. That was an excellent album by Santana. Abraxas. Never got into Janis Joplin much. Or Dio. I've got that on CD. Surrealistic Pillow. Surrealistic Pillow. That's how I pronounce things. I never bought Blondie's Auto American. Megadeth. Never got into Megadeth. Rust in Peace. Sleater Kinney, The Woods. Never heard. I have that on CD. It's excellent. Love Paul Simon. Never bought Foreigner's Double Vision. Megadeth, Bon Jovi, Metallica. Nope. Nirvana, excellent. Unplugged in New York. It's Ween. It's nice to see them on the list. I'm a big Ween fan. Maybe we'll see Sparks. I doubt. Van Halen, The Replacements, And just because I'm saying no, it's just because I'm not saying they're bad. Some of them. Just never got into them. Metallica, Ride the Lightning, Journey, Escape, Jackson Browne, The Pretender, never heard. Skid Row, Los Angeles. I mean, X, Los Angeles is the name of the album. Out of Time, very good album. I do like some Janis Joplin music, but just never bought any of her albums. Boom, Dylan, very good album, of course. Nope, nope. Yeah, I like the Alice Cooper group. I did have that on vinyl back in the day, but I'm just more of a fan of the band. Love Lou Reed, as I mentioned earlier. Yes, the Beach Boys at last. Surf's Up. Nope, nope, nope. Love some Elvis, but never bought that album. I did have that album at one point. It was very good. Chicago. Nope. I did buy that on CD. I did. I was kind of a fan of Green Day for a short while. It was a good album. Eat a Peach. Nope. Street Survivors. Nope. And that's the original cover. I did like that. I don't have it on CD anymore. I never really played it much, but it was good. Alice in Chains. Doolittle. Excellent album. I did have that at one point. Nope. I love the Doors, have all their albums. Never heard that one. I've heard Rain Dogs. Not one of my favorite artists. Uh, but I still, I respect him. Tom Waits. Yeah, everybody had that on vinyl back in the day. Green Day, never bought that one. I did buy that back in 1975. I liked early Kiss. I was a fan of their early albums. Nope. Nope. I did buy a couple of James Taylor albums, JT, Flag in the 70s, which I really enjoyed. Yep, I bought that. It was good. The River on vinyl. I bought that back in the day. It was good. Love Devo. Love early Devo. Never really got into Wilco. Grateful Dead, Van Halen, MC5, never got into. The Byrds, nope, nope. Yep, got that on CD. Billion Dollars Babies, deluxe version. Yeah, I really loved John Cougar back in the mid 80s. That was a very good album. ZZ Top, Deguelo, very good. Excellent debut album by the Cars. Yes, I bought Destroyer back in the day. Never got into Soundgarden. Love Nilsson. I did have that on vinyl years ago. Never heard Raw Power. I might have heard bits of it, but yes, I bought Aerosmith albums back in the day. But my favorite album of theirs is Toys in the Attic. We're almost done here. Pearl Jam. Never bought their debut album. Metallica. I've heard it. Just like I said, I respect them, but just not my kind of band. Everybody bought Boston's first album. It was awesome. Nope. REM Murmur, never heard. Full Moon. I've heard most of the songs from Full Moon Fever. Just never bought it. Love Talking Heads, as I mentioned. Great album. Nope. No. Yeah, I never got into Patti Smith's Horses. I had the CD for many years. I finally sold it. But I do have Easter. I love that album by her. And Radio Ethiopia. Nope. CCR at last. Green River. Excellent album. Love CCR. That was a good album. I had that on vinyl. I've got that on CD. I want to get that on CD again. Sounds of Silence. I've got a double greatest hits of Sly and the Family Stone, but I would like to get that album stamped. Nebraska, I bought that on vinyl back in the day. It was very good. I've got that, part of the mono box set. Excellent. Wildflowers. Nope. I loved Eliminator. I loved the early years of ZZ Top, up to about Eliminator, and maybe Afterburner a bit. Love the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Have them on CD, deluxe versions. I've heard that album. It's excellent. Just have never owned it. No, although I do like some of the songs on 1984. I had that on vinyl back in the day. I had that on vinyl. Need that on CD. Fantastic album. Nope. The Doors, love the Doors, as I mentioned, have all of their albums. Love Ramones. That's my favorite album of theirs, their debut. Another excellent album by Bruce Springsteen. Aerosmith Rocks. One of the great albums from 1970, CCR. I love Stevie Wonder. I've got, I think, 5 of his albums now, including Talking Book. Love Talking Heads. Got Asia. Love that's my favorite REM album, Automatic for the People. I need to get it on CD again. And my favorite Aerosmith, I'd like to get that on CD. And that's a great debut album by Van Halen. I wouldn't mind having that on CD. Inner Visions, one of my favorite Stevie Wonder albums that I've heard. Prince is awesome. I did have that on vinyl. It was great. Bob Dylan, Blood on the Tracks. Excellent album. I have it on CD. Damn the Torpedo. I think I might have had that on vinyl. I did have that on CD. I just never listened to it enough. No, it was good. I did enjoy it. Of course, I had that on CD. Yeah, on CD. It was good. Excellent. Have that on CD. It's awesome. I've never heard There's a Riot Going On. I need that. Tapestry is very good. I remember my older brother having that on vinyl. At Fillmore East, I've never owned, never heard. I had that on vinyl. Yeah, another great album by Bob Dylan. Love Graceland by Paul Simon. Guns N' Roses, no. Yes, I've got Marvin Gaye's What's Going On CD. It's superb. I have that on CD. I had that on vinyl and CD. I just know it so well, I don't need to hear it again, but it's a fantastic album. I need to get Songs in the Key of Life. I did have it on vinyl back in the 70s. And Purple Rain I had on vinyl. And Blonde on Blonde, part of the mono box set. It's excellent. And Pet Sounds. That's why Americana Sam sent me the link. And we're going to be doing our top 40 Beach Boys songs very soon. So the Beach Boys, Pet Sounds at number 1, one of the greatest albums of all time for me. So what is missing from this besides Sparks? Let me know in the comment section below. So that was fun to go through. Can't really argue with most of them, except maybe the Eagles and Bon Jovi. That's it. Thanks for watching, and thanks again to Americana Sam for sending me the link. Let me know what you think about this whole list. Bye.